Boris Johnson promised frictionless trade after Brexit, but now his government admits new border checks are inevitable.
Here's a summary of the article.
When Boris Johnson campaigned for Britain to leave the EU, he promised voters that frictionless trade with Europe would continue after Brexit. Now Britain has left the EU, a senior member of his government has admitted for the first time that new border checks will be inevitable. Australia does not have a free trade deal with the EU, which prompted the EU's Trade Commissioner Phil Hogan to warn that Johnson's suggestion was code for no deal. Multiple industry leaders told Business Insider this week that the prospective shape of Johnson's Australia trade deal risks severe damage to firms across the country which rely on cross-border trade and supply chains. The Prime Minister's trade plans are radically different to those outlined by his predecessor, Theresa May, who pushed for frictionless trade with Europe. It has appeared likely for some time that the current government would pursue a much looser trade deal with the EU. That is because Boris Johnson has calculated that Brexit is ultimately a political decision, not an economic one. Michel Barnier, the EU's Brexit negotiator, repeated his warning last week that Britain would have to stay aligned to a whole set of EU rules if it wanted a trade deal with Brussels.
This post received a score of 15,773, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
What other things gonna happen that he said it won't but others said it will?
It's probably easier to list the things that won't.
How long that list gonna be?
You could paint it on the side of a wine box.
Why not bus? Oh shit.
I make things.
Supposedly the entire interview was a ploy by Dominic Cummings to try and make that interview, where Bojo sounds like a dementia-riddled old syphilitic coot, higher up the Google search results for Boris Bus than the big fuck-off red bus with the £365 million a week lie on the side of it.
This is 100% true.
Greater than easiest trade deal in human history. Clownface Boris the Blamethrower aka Frigid Johnson.
Bojo, hey guys, you know how we have great friction-free trade, because we've all agreed to specific conditions on our borders and how we interact with other countries? EU, yeah. Bojo, fuck you, fuck your stuff, and fuck your rules. Keep trade the same though, I already promised not to change that part.
I'd like to leave the EU while still keeping all the benefits of being a member of the EU.
Trying to enter a Costco but is beside himself that they dare ask for his membership card and flabbergasted that there is an inconvenient fee. Dude has been bragging to friends that he could get them in for free no problem. Guess maybe the voting public should be more wary about a shifty politician's dubious promises next time? Nah, law.
It was the other guy's fault. Rule number 1, it's always the other guy's fault. Even when you did it, it's the other guy's fault for making you do it.
I'm sure they did. I would bet that they promised all sorts of amazing things and that there would be zero downside to this plan. If an elected official doesn't give some of the potential problems involved and how we might mitigate it as a challenge to be overcome, red flags and alarm bells should be going off in your head. This is a scam.
There will be no downside to Brexit, only a considerable upside. David Davis, Secretary of State for exiting the European Union.
Former Secretary of State for exiting the European Union.
Sure, but at the time he said it he was the then current Secretary of State, which seems like the important thing. The position also doesn't exist anymore.
Oh yeah, true. I was just trying to point out that the guy is so useless he doesn't do that job anymore. In fact, we've gone through a few of them now, which I'm sure you're also aware of.
Yeah, each of them useless in their own special way. Okay, I almost guffaw at the thought that anyone would believe that there's a possibility of frictionless trade after Brexit.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.